When did you start working at Waltons?
Started working May 1965.
Oh wow.
Yeah, mostly confusing because obviously you're straight from school, you haven't got a clue about work at all, the working day, and so it was hard work and very tiring initially because the concentration was very hard. There's so much to learn all of the time, but it was what I wanted to do. You know, even from long before I left school, I'd already decided, because I'd enjoyed woodwork at school, and I decided then that this was what I want to do. The best thing I did, I had to make an octagonal greenhouse. But what was fortunate about it, I'd already got one that we'd made back in the 60s at home. But alright, the design had changed a little bit, but fundamentally it was the same building. I built the prototype, and then they came and took all the information off it to do the drawings, and they were in production for a number of years. When I started, Jeff Walton, what was the grandfather, was still running the factory. Nigel and Barry were still at school. Late 60s, early 70s was when they took over from their father. Yeah, Nigel worked in the offices. He was always the brains behind everything. Barry ran the factory side of everything. During those years after my apprenticeship, I spent quite a lot of time working with Barry on the machinery. Either he'd be feeding it and I'd be stacking it, or I'd be feeding it and he'd be stacking it. So I had quite a lot to do with Barry, not so very much with Nigel. He didn't see Nigel very often. After a very strong disagreement with Barry Walton, he wanted me to do something that I was not prepared to do. I promptly got another job and handed my notice in and left. But anyway, what happened, there was another unit. It was a separate factory called Hallmark Conservatories. I came back, I went in there. The person who was running it at the time, I'd actually gone to school with, and he approached me to come back there to take over that, telling me that he owned it, whereas in actual fact he was only a third owner, and Waltons was still the main owners, because I think they knew that if he'd told me that they were still involved, then I wouldn't have come back. We were only making conservatories at the time when I first went in there. That was all we were making. Because at that time, not too long after I'd started, maybe 2 or 3 years, UPVC started to get in on the act. So they had to diversify, and we started making an upmarket range of greenhouses and summer houses. Waltons had their own range. Our sales are going like this, their sales are going like that. So they moved all of their work, all their summer house production, they moved down to us, and then their sales started going, because we had a different working mentality. We carried that mentality on with everything else that we did, and that's the mentality I still have every day. I had an influence on all of those that worked with me and under me, because this is how we work. That's it, this is how we work. I always tried to do everything as accurately and as quickly as possible, but accuracy was critical. I know we tried a few times to import some house doors and windows and playhouse doors and so on, because they believed it was cheaper than us making them. One, they couldn't get them right, then the quality wasn't there, And also the problem you've got is the orders of this have gone up. We need to produce some more of those this week. Well, if you're buying them in, sorry, you can't do it because you can't have the doors for 6 weeks. So that in the end dropped, and it went back to us producing them all again. But we used to produce everything from scratch because they knew that it was going to be right every time and the same every time, because that was the mentality.
Your greenhouse still standing in your building?
Oh yes. As a company, they are striving to try and get everything right. First time now, we are still having some issues some of the time, but they are trying to get it better. It's just as easy to do something wrong as it is to do it right. It doesn't take any longer, so why do it wrong?
Fair enough.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.